Hi everyone, thanks to the organization for the opportunity to share with you our research. I will be presenting our research about feedback in online learning environments that we have been carrying out at the ED Online Research Group. Let's start with this image. As you see, they are talking about, I'm going to need more specific feedback on my formative assessments. Bad dog. As most of you here today are teachers or you work with teachers, let me start with your experience as feedback giver. I'm sure that, is this situation familiar to you? A teacher saying, I spend a lot of time highlighting changes, making suggestions, and commenting on how to improve their text. But it seems that like they don't care about these suggestions. Does it really make sense then to invest so much time when they really don't implement these changes into their text? Is my feedback really useful to them? Let's see to what the students feel, what they really say about it. What should I do? My teachers' comments are usually review this information, refer to these pages of the modules, reorganize this paragraph. But how? What next? They really feel that they don't know. Are students and teachers engaging efficiently enough in online learning environments? It seems that they are not really connected. They really work in a parallel situation. In fact, as we saw in our example in our students, what we have seen is that many undergraduate respondents of international questionnaires, they have reported that they are unsatisfied with the feedback that they receive. In order to tackle this issue, many universities have designed different policies. They have been working on strategies to engage students and to improve feedback. But do you really think that these actions can really have a direct impact on what will really matter, learning? I can tell you that the answer is no. And what we have seen in our studies is that, in fact, what it really matters, is really relevant, it's a matter of how we support learning. And this is going to be the focus of our presentation. We really want to focus on how can we contribute to supporting effective learning through feedback in online environments, which we understand that is one of the core aspects of UOC's pedagogical model. So in order to achieve this aim, what we have done is we have carried out different studies, different type of studies, but today I'm going to focus to 4 hows, so different research questions, and basically I will tell you about the educational implications of these studies that we have carried out. So I have a few minutes to convince you about these aspects that we have been working. Firstly, before going exactly to these 4 hows, to these research questions, let me share with you how we conceptualize feedback, how we understand feedback. And I will put the stress here on the feedback as a process, is a dialogical process which support the student in order to promote effective learning. And I put the stress on process because usually we think that feedback is about giving and receiving. And in fact, it's more about generating the feedback. Who generates this feedback? It can be the teacher, it can be a peer, it can be your own. But also how I get this feedback, so about how do I transform this information, how do I use it, how I comprehend this feedback. And finally, and that's why we illustrated through this feedback loop, finally, how do we really implement the feedback? Which kind of decisions do we take to implement the feedback? And that's why we focus on this process. Now that we have shared how we understand the feedback, let's then talk about the 4 hows. So we have designed different studies in a context, in an online learning environment, and we have focused on writing, because we understand writing as a learning tool. So it's through writing that we can learn, that it has an epistemic function. So we understand that it's through writing that we can transform information into learning. So in this context, we have designed different studies. So how number one, we have focused on how is the feedback in a collaborative writing situation. How number two, how is the effect of a specific type of feedback on their revision? How number three, how do different types of feedback affect students' processing, and which type of feedback best contributes to writing? And how number four, how is related the feedback channel and learning? And of course, because the channel can also influence on teachers' workload, we were concerned about how to measure teacher workload when using different channels. In order to answer these questions, what we have done is design different studies. One of them was an exploratory study, but the other was experimental studies with pre-measures and post-test measures, where the students were randomized in different situations and getting different types of feedback or different types of situations. So, as we don't have much time today here, I will not go into detail about the results of these studies, but instead, what I want to really highlight today, what I want to share with you, are the educational implications, the educational significance of our studies. So basically, what we can transfer from our studies into practice. So let's move then to the three main educational significance of our studies that we want to share. First of all, we understand that we need to promote a dialogical feedback. And what does it mean? It means that we should promote discussion among the learners. And basically what we have seen is that the discussion among the students increases significantly the introduction of changes in the students' assignments. Basically, just to illustrate what the students say about it, is that they think that it speeds up the learning process when we promote this kind of discussion, that it opens a dialogue with the teacher about the work and through the document. The dialogue also helps to reduce the number of emails, the exchanges with the teacher and the students. And very important, they get the information they need to go and progress, so the feed forward. Second main educational significance of our studies. Second one is, well, the first we were talking about the discussion, but how can we promote this discussion? This discussion can be promoted through this type of feedback. So we understand that the type of feedback that the students should receive should be based on epistemic and suggestion comments. Basically, it should be based on what we mentioned, that is requiring critical explanations and clarifications, because this type of feedback really significantly increases the results on learning. So very important that when we design this type of feedback, we think that it should include questions and suggestions. And finally, the third aspect that we want to highlight, the third implication, is that what it really matters is the feedback during the process. So it's not about if we give feedback at the end, it's about the feedback that we give during the assignment. And what we have seen is that the channel to deliver feedback, so if it's through its written feedback or it's video or it's oral feedback, audio feedback, doesn't influence on learning. In fact, the impact is on the process. So here are the three main aspects that we wanted to highlight. So in conclusion, basically what we hope is that through all these results and two other European projects that we are developing at this moment, we contribute basically to enhance, to support evidence-based teaching and learning in order to improve our pedagogical model, and basically that it helps to connect teachers and students for an effective learning. Thank you very much.